You are sitting on a billion-dollar yacht, watching the skyline disappear behind you. You're 26 years old, and you just became a billionaire. Not tech startup got acquired money. Not inherited a real estate portfolio money. $1 billion. Liquid. Yours. The yacht beneath your feet is yours. The crew works for you. The champagne in your hand costs more than your first paycheck. Somewhere behind you, a city skyline glows across the water as the sun disappears into the horizon. And while you're sitting there trying to process what just happened, your name is in every newspaper on Earth by morning. Forbes calls it historic. CNBC runs a special. Some anchor in a glass studio calls you a once-in-a-generation story. You are 26 years old, and nothing will ever be the same again. Section 1. The first 72 hours. The calls start before the announcement is even official. Your phone doesn't ring once. It vibrates continuously like something is wrong with it. You silence it. It fills back up. You turn it off entirely and sleep for 5 hours because you haven't slept properly in weeks, and you figure the $1 billion will still be there when you wake up. It is. Your bank sends a private liaison to your apartment. He's in his 50s, silver watch, shoes that cost more than your first car. He sits at your kitchen table on a chair that wobbles because one leg is shorter than the others, and he slides a folder across to you and explains how the money will be structured. You nod like you understand. You don't understand. He keeps talking. You keep nodding. He leaves, and you sit there. The folder is still on the table. You make a bowl of cereal. You eat it standing at the counter like you always do. The cereal tastes exactly the same. Here's what nobody tells you about the first 72 hours. It doesn't feel like anything yet. The number is too large for your brain to process as real. $1 billion isn't a feeling. It's an abstraction, a string of zeros that your nervous system has no reference point for. You've been running on adrenaline and anxiety for so long that your body doesn't know how to switch modes. But the world already switched. The world switched the second the number hit the wire. Section 2. You are now a symbol. Within a week, you understand something uncomfortable. You're no longer a person to most of the world. You are a symbol. To some people, you are proof that the system works. To others, you are proof that it doesn't. To venture capitalists, you are a signal. To politicians, you are a photo opportunity. To strangers on the internet, you are either a hero or a villain in the argument about which one trends twice in your first month. You did not ask to be a symbol. You were just trying to build something. But that doesn't matter now because symbols don't get to opt out. Your publicist, who you hired on day 4, because someone told you that you needed one, tells you to be careful about what you say publicly. She uses the word optics 14 times in your first meeting. She tells you that everything you do from this point forward will be interpreted. A haircut is a statement. A restaurant choice is a statement. Silence is a statement. She's not wrong, and that's the most exhausting part. You do an interview because she says you have to. The journalist is polite and professional and asks you thoughtful questions, and you answer them honestly. The headline they run pulls 8 words from a 40-minute conversation and makes you sound like someone you don't recognize. You learn the lesson the hard way. Every interview you do after that, you give them less. You become more careful, more managed, more distant from the actual thing you were trying to say. And bit by bit, the version of you that exists publicly starts to drift away from the version that exists privately. 2 versions of the same person, and the gap between them keeps growing. Section 3. The money moves faster than you do. Here's the part that genuinely unsettles you. You are 26 years old, and you do not have the experience to hold this amount of money responsibly, and everyone around you knows it, except they're all being paid not to say it. Your wealth management team is assembled within 2 weeks. 8 people. Average age, 51. Combined experience, over 2 centuries of moving money. They sit across from you in a conference room and walk you through allocation strategies and tax structures and long-term preservation models. You ask questions. They answer them in ways that technically respond to what you asked, but don't actually explain anything. You leave the meeting knowing less than when you walked in, and you're not sure if that's your fault or theirs. The money, meanwhile, does not wait for you to catch up. In your first month, you make more money while sleeping than most people make in a year. Not because you did anything, because capital compounds, because the machine runs whether you're watching it or not. Your net worth on a slow Tuesday grows by an amount that would have felt like a miracle to you 18 months ago. It's reported. It's graphed. Analysts discuss it. You watch the number go up on an app on your phone and feel nothing because the number stopped meaning anything real a long time ago. You try to spend it, not recklessly, thoughtfully. You buy your mother a house. You write a check to a cause you've believed in for years. You upgrade your apartment because journalists keep describing it as modest, and you can feel the subtext, like your reluctance to spend is somehow suspicious. Every purchase gets gets reported. Every donation gets analyzed for motive. You give quietly and someone leaks it. You give publicly and someone calls it a performance. There is no version of generosity at this scale that doesn't get turned into a story about something else. Section 4. Your friends don't know what to do with you. You have 4 people you've called real friends since college. You go to dinner with all of them the first month. You picked a restaurant because you know they're all quietly terrified of picking somewhere too cheap or too expensive now, and you want to remove that pressure. Dinner is fine. The food is good. You talk. You laugh at things. But you notice it about 40 minutes in. They're being careful. Not mean. Not distant. Just careful. The way you're careful around someone who just got a devastating diagnosis. Like they're not sure what the new rules are. Like the old version of the dynamic, the one where anyone could say anything, might not apply anymore. One of them, your oldest friend, the one who used to tell you when you were being an idiot about something, asks you about the business with a formality that feels wrong coming from his mouth. You look at him across the table, and you can see him calculating. He's trying to figure out where the line is now, what he's allowed to say, whether pushback is still permitted. It is. You want to tell him that. But the fact that you'd have to say it out loud means it's already different. You pick up the check without thinking. Everybody thanks you. The dynamic completes itself, and you drive home understanding something quiet and irreversible. Generosity, when the gap is wide enough, stops feeling like connection. It starts feeling like distance with a nice gesture attached. Section 5, the age problem. This is the part that's specific to you. The part that an older billionaire doesn't have to face in the same way. You are 26, which means you have not yet figured out who you are. That process, the slow, uncomfortable work of failure and reinvention and learning what you actually value, usually takes your entire 20s. It happens through bad jobs and ended relationships and moves to new cities and long stretches of uncertainty. Through being wrong about things and having to admit it, through building yourself in low-stakes environments where the cost of getting it wrong is manageable. You skipped it, not intentionally, not lazily. You just skipped it because the money arrived before the process was finished. And now every experience you have, every relationship, every decision, every mistake happens inside a billion-dollar container. The stakes on everything are permanent. The consequences are public. The margin for normal human confusion has been eliminated. Other people your age are figuring out what they believe in. You have to already know, because everything you believe in will be turned into a headline or a policy position or an investment philosophy before you've even finished forming the thought. You start to notice yourself performing certainty you don't feel, nodding at things you're not sure about, projecting stability because the alternative, admitting that you're 26 and genuinely lost, feels impossible now. You have too many people, depending on the fiction, that you know what you're doing. So you maintain it. Day after day, you maintain it. Section 6. What happens to your ambition? Before the money, you had something clear and specific that drove you forward. A problem you wanted to solve. Something that kept you up at night in the good way, the restless, productive way. You could feel it in your chest when you were working. That specific hunger. It starts to go quiet around month 4. At first, you think you're just tired. You've been running hard for years, and maybe you need time to decompress. So you take a week. Then 2. You travel somewhere beautiful. You eat well. You sleep 9 hours. You sit on a balcony somewhere and look at the ocean and wait to feel recharged. You feel fine, rested, but not hungry. The thing about ambition is that it runs on a specific kind of fuel. Pressure, necessity, the feeling that something is at stake. That if you don't solve the problem, something bad happens. That feeling's gone now. You could stop today. You could stop for a decade. The money doesn't care. The machine keeps running. The zeros keep accumulating. There's nothing chasing you anymore. And slowly, quietly, without you noticing the exact moment it happened, you realize you don't know what you're building toward. The goal you spent years sprinting at is behind you now, and you never thought about what was on the other side of it. You hire coaches, advisors, people who specialize in exactly this, in helping founders navigate the identity collapse that comes after a major exit. They give you frameworks. They ask good questions. One of them tells you that what you're feeling is more common than you think. You appreciate that. It helps for about a day. Section 7, the night things. It's 3 in the morning on a Wednesday, and you're awake. Your new apartment is twice the size of the one you grew up in, and tonight it feels like evidence of something. You walk through it in the dark. The city is still going outside your floor-to-ceiling windows. Cabs and delivery bikes, and the particular yellow-orange glow that cities make when they never fully sleep. You're surrounded by every object that was supposed to make life feel more manageable, and none of them are doing anything useful right now. You stand at the window for a while. You think about a night 3 years ago when your company was 6 weeks from running out of money, and you were sleeping on an air mattress in the office and surviving on cold brew and the absolute conviction that the thing you were building mattered. You were terrified every single day. You were also more alive than you felt in months. You don't say that out loud. You don't write it down. It sounds like the kind of complaint that nobody is allowed to make from where you're standing, and you know that. But it's there, sitting in your chest at 3 in the morning while the city hums below you and your wealth management app quietly updates another number you stopped caring about weeks ago. You go back to bed. You stare at the ceiling. You are 26 years old. You got everything, and you're trying very hard to figure out what that means. Here's what they don't put in the profiles. The money solved every practical problem you ever had. The rent, the uncertainty, the fear of failure, the gap between what you wanted to build and what you could afford to build. Gone. All of it. Handled. And you would be lying if you said that didn't matter. It matters enormously. The practical relief is real. But you're 26, and the job of being 26 is to become someone. To stumble into who you are through a series of low-stakes, reversible private experiments. To get it wrong enough times that you eventually get it right. To build yourself slowly in a world that isn't watching. You don't get that now. You may never get it. And the strangest, most disorienting part of all of it, the part that keeps you up at 3 in the morning with the city glowing below you, is this. You earned it. You built something real. The work was yours. The sacrifice was real. Nobody handed you anything. And somehow that makes it harder to talk about. Not easier, because the story the world tells about you is a clean one. Youngest ever. Historic. Once in a generation. And you're standing inside that story every single day, knowing that the truth is messier and quieter and a lot more uncertain than any of those words. You got everything at 26, and you're still figuring out who gets to have it.